Welcome back, everybody. In case you're new here, my name is Julie, and I am going to be showing you today a two-page layout. I'm going to be using these Country Woods papers, design series papers from Stampin' Up. They are just beautiful. They're double-sided. I've showed these before, but today these are the sides that I'm using. I'm going to build my layout on white daisy cardstock. This is a close to my heart white paper that I still have a bunch of to use up, so I'm using that today. I'm going to do that. I'm going to build my layers with these. I have these beautiful pictures that happen to be taken on a wood backdrop, so I think it's perfect to put them on here. This is my daughter Emma. She's going to be helping me out today. You'll probably hear her and see her little hands in here. These are 4x6 pictures, and they're going to go over here on this side, and these are 3.5x5. and they're going to go over here on this side. And if you caught my last video, you were introduced to Star. This is Star, also known as Horsey, and Horsey appears in almost every picture that you'll see of Emma. She's just kind of always around. So those are going to go there. I'm going to mat these 4x6 photos on white cardstock, and then mat them again on this dark wood paper, like so. And then these are going to be matted on one sheet of white paper and then matted again on this same dark paper to be put on top of this side. And today's layout is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to cut these papers into strips and layer them on here. I was kind of inspired by a lake life layout that I did a few weeks back. I will show that to you, but the workshop kit just had strips, 4 strips that went vertically down the paper, and I really liked it. Today we're going to do horizontal strips. Very simple. We're going to ink some edges and possibly use a new stamp set that I may have gotten. I think it came in. I have to open the box and see. I'm going to start by getting my photos matted, all of my photos matted on the white cardstock and this dark wood paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut all of my wood grain papers into strips and get those laid out for you. I cut out these darker wood grain papers, one piece. I'm going to mat, all my pictures are matted and stuck down onto white mat, and then I cut the big one to fit both pictures. So this side is going to go like this over here. Same with this. These are all matted on white, and then they're matted again on one whole sheet of the dark wood grain paper. So next we're going to go ahead and ink around the edges of each of these pieces. So I'm just using my ink blending tool. I'll link this in the description, and black close to my heart ink. And we're just going to a little bit of ink on that and just go around the edges just slightly. And I'm going to do this off camera so you don't have to watch because there's a lot of pieces, but just enough to give it, to help it stand off of the background. I am not going to ink around my pictures or around the darker wood grain because it wouldn't show up anyways. So we're just going to do these pieces. So I will go ahead and get that done, and then we'll move on. So you can see I've brought in a bunch of stuff on my workspace here. I have glued down all of my photos to the mat and laid them out where I think I want them. I decided to move this one over because I want to embellish on this side. Title is going to go down here. And I was looking at it and I just didn't think that this stood off the background paper enough. And so I was going to bring in the country lace paper. This is the Country Woods. This is the Country Lace. And add that in. I thought that really looked nice. But then I went digging through my stash and I found this collection from 2020, Stampin' Up. It's called Peaceful Poppies and Painted Poppies, and it has all these little die cut pieces that came with it, and I thought that that color kind of brought out the pink in her boots, and so I started laying a few things out and kind of came up with something kind of like this down here. And then I got to messing with the dies. I bought this set used from somebody a while back, and they had cut out all of these green leaves, but I don't like the green color, so we're gonna cut out some new ones. And she had already cut out some of these other things, but this die cut came with the set. So we punched it out in white just to kind of mess around with it. And I think I'm going to tuck it back here, but cut it out with a wood grain. And part of the collection that this originally came with the sheet of black die cuts. And I think I'm going to set that in the center, like so. And then we found this little border piece that also came with the set. And so I cut out those, and I'm going to line those up as a border just to kind of help separate the mat with the pictures on it from the background paper. And this paper is actually, let me show it to you, kind of a red watercolored paper. And it's not the same color as her boots, but in small amounts, I think it's close enough. And it really does bring out her boots, and it does separate the pictures from the background. So I'm going to put those there, and I think I'm going to put another set up here on the top of this one. Nothing has been stuck down except for the strips on the background paper, because those I know are going to go where they're at. But these, I'm going to mess around with my embellishments quite a bit. I know I've said this before, that I do mess around with my embellishments quite a bit. And these will probably end up moving. I may cut another one to fill that in more. And like I said, my title is going to go down here. But I really like the pop that brings without adding too much. So I'm going to go about cutting some more dies, a bunch of leaves, some flowers. I'll probably cut a few more of these in the wood grain paper, and just start placing a few more embellishments around. It also comes with this cute little, what I believe is the center of a flower, but I kind of like it just around, just setting around. So I'm going to cut a whole bunch of dies and play around with those, and then start embellishing these layouts. So I put together some of the things I think I'm going to use. I cut out a few more pieces, and I wanted to show you my title. So I messed around with this title for a very long time. I actually have been playing around with these embellishments and what I wanted to use for quite some time, probably a couple of hours. And then I even took a break once I got it all laid out so that I could come back with fresh eyes. So this is what I want to use for my title. But what I started with was I cut it out in these black letters first. And what I was really thinking I wanted to do was use the black letters. I'm going to kind of show you here, like so. And I wanted to use these reddish colored ones to pull in the red from my embellishments over here in her boots in the middle. But I laid it out, and it just wasn't what I really wanted. Somewhere I have the T in there, but so then I thought, well, maybe what I could do is use the pink color. So I cut out a second one, and then I thought I would layer it like this and have it be like so on all of those. And it just still wasn't what I wanted. It just wasn't popping quite right. So then I cut off an offset and added that behind all of it so that it would look like this. Layer these two like so, put it on here, and then I laid that out. And that to me was just too much. Still didn't like it. So I scratched that, took that off. Then I just went kind of around in circles. I kept doing this with all of it, this side as well. And then I decided that maybe it was these letters in the middle. So I took those off and replaced it with black ones. And that was better. Let me bring this in so you can kind of see the whole effect. So I kept going, and I laid it all out like this, and it just wasn't what I wanted. I was kind of at a loss And that's not bad, but it's just, I just really didn't like it. So I kind of left it and I fiddled around with everything else, and then I came back to it. And then I thought, well, maybe I just don't need all the layers. Oh, there's my tea. So I took off the red one and just left all of it black. And I kind of liked that. Like, I felt like it was going in the right direction. It stood out a little bit, wasn't quite so chaotic. And that was fine, but it still didn't pop off the page. So then I went back to the offset and I said, well, let's put this on here like so and see how that looks. So I put that on here like this, and then I liked it, but not as much. And then I finally said, well, let's take that off and put the pink back on. I left the black, thinking originally my thought was I really wanted the U to stand out, so I wanted it to be in a different color. So I left the black on and brought back in the pink. And that I really kind of liked. So got that all back in there. Bring back in my pink ones. But can you see how much fussing around I had to do to get there? Like, it took me a long time to get it to that point. I do have the dots for my eyes. They're over on, I set them aside so that I wouldn't lose them through this whole process. So that's kind of how I got there. But can you imagine, I mean, if that's how long it took me, just the title, to get the rest of the embellishments on, it definitely takes me a long time. But after taking a break and walking back up and looking at it, I do really like it. So I'm going to adhere this down. I'm going to put those on there. I'm going to put those on there. Those I actually like. And then I got to these pieces. So let me kind of, pull some of these out here and show you what I decided to go with. This also took me quite some time. Hold on, honey. To put this together. So I started with this side. It came together fairly easy because I knew that I wanted this down here in this corner. And then I had added in these little flowers that I really liked. And I had put this on the top. And that I really liked. And I'm trying to kind of go for the visual triangle that most scrapbookers are going for, is to have 3 visual spots that draw your eye around the page. And I did really like this, but it wasn't enough. I have all this space up here and I didn't care for it. So then I cut some more of these, thinking, well, what if I do 3 of them? My daughter, Emma, she's right here, she helped me cut all of these. So I put these 3 up here and I liked that. So what I'm going to do is cut another little circle here and just put my daughter's name and the date, or her age probably. And then this one, I'm going to bring in a couple of these flowers there. So nothing crazy. I did cut some petals and leaves and started tucking them around, and I just liked the simplicity of this. So that's what I'm going with on this side. But then I was like looking at this page and it just wasn't working. So another rule of thumb with scrapbooking typically is whatever elements you have on one side, elements and colors, you want to tie into the other side. So I brought these back in and was thinking about putting them up like on the sides coming out of this, which was okay but wasn't my favorite. So I just started playing. This one I didn't have enough paper to make the whole thing, but I knew that I was probably going to either tuck it underneath this, so it didn't matter, and like so. I'll show you. And what I ended up doing is thinking that it would be fun to put it under here but let it come off the side, and then put my black circle on it, and I'll trim that nice and even. And then for now I just kind of stuck a flower, and then I was like, okay, it's kind of coming together. It ties the title in a little bit. And then this one I decided I want to be coming off this corner. So I'll cut it once I have it glued down. And I think I'm going to put one of these in the corner and also kind of trim it. I haven't really decided. But I wanted to show you like how much time and messing around with things it takes me, and it's okay to get things how you like them. It doesn't just come to me all of a sudden. And the truth behind some of these videos is that there's a lot of gaps in between. I'm starting and stopping my video so that I can figure out what exactly it is I want to do. Some layouts do come together much simpler, and I did have a vision for this, but when I actually got to working on it, it just didn't come together quite the way I wanted it to. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and glue down the things that I know I want glued down, and then I will show you where we're at. Wanted to refresh your memory about how I'm gluing this down. I am using this Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, and I just take my tweezers. These are from Cricut. I use these all the time. And with this glue, you just need a little bit. I'm barely putting any on. It does dry clear, so if you squeeze it out the edges or you get it on your paper, it's okay. But you can see, like, I'm just putting just a little bit all around the letter. We just don't need very much before I glue it down. So I'm just going to show you this letter, and then I'll continue on with the rest off camera. And then I just use my tweezers to help me line up where I want it. And you do get a minute, or not a minute, you get a few seconds to slide that around into the position that you want it in. Super easy, just like so. So I will continue to do the rest off camera. I have everything stuck down. I'm going to show you what I did. You can see that I moved this one. I was going to put it down here in the corner, but I liked it up here so it kind of draws your eye up and around. I love how the title came out. It's all stuck down. So I'll bring that up a little bit closer so you can see a little border detail up here. And this title. Now the title I did cut on my Cricut. I did just a print with an offset. I added an offset. I'll have to create a video someday on how I did that. But if you're familiar with the Cricut, I just found an image that I liked. I created an offset and then I cut it. I cut it twice, once in black and once in this red color, so that I would have the different colors, and then the white offset. And then this is the other side. I found this tag that was cut, and so I just wrote her name and how old she was in here, in these photos, and I added a circle for each of those. And I'm gonna call that good. I really do like how it came out. It's very, to me, simple, but doesn't look real simple. And as I've said before, I'm not a huge embellisher. I am trying to learn to embellish more, but I did start to add leaves and petals and some different things. I tried to add some more of these flowers over here, and I just thought it was overwhelming, and I liked it better just like this. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. That will tell YouTube what you'd like to see and what I should be making more of. All of the supplies that I used are listed in the description below. This is going to do it for today's video. Thank you. Bye.